Spider-Man has no shortage of iconic video game appearances. Spider-Man 2, Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Web of Shadows, Shattered Dimensions, the PS1 classics. There's virtually no limit to the amount of fun you can have with the webhead on any console you can find. And then there's Spider-Man 3.
Help! Please! Someone! I'm going to die!
Spider-Man 3 is famous for being terrible, but there is no but. It is terrible. It's not the worst thing ever. It's not Leisure Suit Larry box office bust or Rogue Warrior.
Suck my balls, my hairy fucking big balls. Wrap them around your fucking mouth.
But even then, within the pantheon of Spider-Man games, it is bottom tier, right next to that weird Microsoft Paint looking ass monstrosity. Breaking news. Spider-Man is fucking dead. Our story begins with a montage that sets up the adventure to come by introducing the game's rogues gallery, which is packed with famous villains like Harley Quinn, this guy, really good dancer, world-class sex pervert, Kraven, some dick.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Mysterio, oh, it's that guy from all those other games. Venom! There's Scorpion. Uh-oh, me waking up from a midday nap that lasted 5 hours. And of course, Sandy Cheeks. Now, as you may have noticed, this game includes nearly every villain that the recently released Spider-Man 2 contains, thus making them the same game. Sadly, contrary to what one might expect, Spider-Man 3's cutscenes are not of the same quality as those in Spider-Man 2. Take this scene, for example.
Go get your boss. Tell him he's going down.
With this clip, you can see that while they did get Tobey Maguire to reprise his role, he is just on Ambien the whole time.
What's the magic word? Ow! I was thinking please, but whatever.
I'm nearly certain this game isn't trying to be funny, and yet it's funnier than games that try to be funny. It really does have that Rogue Warrior magic.
Goddamn breath, tell me, motherfuckers.
James Franco returns to his role as well, and is somehow worse than his co-star, clearly wearing his
I really wish I weren't here right now button.
Harry, please! I didn't kill your dad!
Shut up! I don't want to hear any more of your lies.
You're my best friend, Harry. I don't want to fight you.
Yeah? Well, then hurry up and die.
Every scene featuring these two award-nominated actors and maniacs has all the personality of a hospital brochure and the collective enthusiasm of an obituary reading. It's like they both just shot up a load of heroin before recording. Now, if we briefly shift from Spider-Man 3 over to its spiritual successor, Spider-Man 2, you will see what a real Spidey game looks like, as every cutscene in this title is flawless, even the less significant ones. Take this simple scene where Miles is doing his homework and receives a call from Whoa, Pete, what are you doing?
Hello guys, today we have a list of top 5 jumpscares. Número 5, Spider-Man Masturbation Jumpscare.
I can't be the only one that saw that, right? Miles answers the call and Spider-Man's just cranking it, tugging his pud for his bud. Whose idea was this animation? You couldn't have him doing anything else besides polishing his frame? What is he even doing here? It's a really bad sign that right there is the thing I remember most about the entire video game of Spider-Man 2. Like foreshadowing, I'm sorry. Okay, well, even if this version of Peter does expose himself on webcam, at least he actually saves people, whereas Tobey doesn't even try. Was there really nothing you could do there? Walking through the sewage. Oh my god, what the fuck? I wonder what's over here in this room. At least you get to fucking electrocute all the lizards in the sewer. You get some retribution for all that murder in the most hilarious way possible. The ragdoll in this game is fucking stellar, by the way. It extends to Spidey himself as well. I was doing an underground mission on the subway tracks and it even happens during fights with basic enemies. Spider-Man is constantly getting his shit rocked, like... So eventually, while searching through the sewers, you come across a bunch of lizards shish kebabbed, looking like a Renaissance painting, and then you continue forward. You continue running through the... You keep on running through the... Oh, God, stop it! You traverse through the sewers and find Kraven hunting the Lizard. I feel like I've seen this before. I gotta be real with y'all, after ruminating on Spider-Man 2 for a couple months, I'm pretty mid on it as a whole, in large part because that Kraven is such a one-note primary antagonist. The man is just a bipedal scowl in a music cue. But even with that in mind, I would do anything to experience either of Insomniac's sick-ass Kraven fights over Spider-Man 3's Kraven fight, where he summons the spirit of the Piss Bear and fights you across 2 endless multi-phase boss battles that have you feeling like... What awaits after Kraven is, it's Giga Bowser, basically. Very weird, horny creature design. Not a fan. So you hit Dr. Connors with that quadruple, so long, gay lizard. And bing bang boom, done in a flash. Quite literally, as the fight ends with Spider-Man drop-kicking the lizard onto subway tracks and frying him like a death row inmate. Which is a little weird. Spider-Man is really reaching Cosmic Kiryu levels of, I swear I never killed a guy. Who could have guessed that the Lizard's weakness was shackling him to the third rail of the L train? In all fairness, I think that's anything's weakness. I feel like 10 million volts is gonna do the job for just about any Spidey villain. Except the electric one. You just hit him with a car. Spider-Man 3's Lizard fight is pretty bad, pretty jank, but in the midst of me having a gamer fit because I had to start the whole 15-minute ordeal from scratch, I couldn't help but notice a few similarities to Insomniac's scaly showdown. Dr. Connors is easily my favorite fight in Spider-Man 2, if only because in the middle of the fight, a black-suited Spider-Man yells, "No wonder your wife left you!" Breaking news! Spider-Man has stopped pulling his punches. While the Lizard's physical injuries may heal, he is never coming back from that one. Alongside the Lizard, there's also a lengthy arc dedicated to literally nobody's favorite Spider-Man villain, Scorpion. Stop typing that comment. I don't want to hear about it. This story path begins with a cutscene of Scorpion breaking Rhino out of a containment vehicle before getting swatted away, and then a car parks on top of Scorpion. I don't think this is supposed to be happening. I think this game just sucks. Yeah, traffic is just continuing to roll over Scorpion. I guess this is just a regular day in Marvel's New York. People gotta get to work. Now there's something that's really starting to stretch my suspension of disbelief regarding these new Spider-Man games. I can't understand why anybody would live in New York City, as it is literally hell on earth. Like, I get that it has the best bagels in the US, but there's no reason to go to the deli when there's a death cult actively branding people directly outside of the window. I'm sorry, but living in the same city as the Danicast is not worth the bi-weekly 9/11s or the Scorpion Men getting experimented on by Dr. Hillary Clinton. This whole Scorpion arc is a little bit of a treat because it subverts your expectations. It's actually about saving Scorpion as opposed to locking him back up. This version of Matt Gargles is an unwilling participant in a science experiment that's given him a giant metal tail and a fuckable head pussy. And he's really mad about the tail. He doesn't say anything about the head pussy. I think he's probably cool with it. You find the building Scorpion's being kept in by Crooked Hillary, and Spidey goes, "There's Scorpion!" Uh-oh, before he proceeds to infiltrate the lazily guarded fortress and hack a couple computers before getting jump scared by what looks like a thumbnail for Scorpion's self-insert 2007 Newgrounds game. What is this? This looks like shit. You actually play as Scorpion for a minute here, and I can't get over that image. You actually play as Scorpion for a minute here in a strange fixed camera beat 'em up, and I don't know, it's a clever diversion. Didn't make me want to turn my brains into raspberry jam like so much else of the game. After digging up some info on Scorpion and freeing him from his binds in the hopes that one day he'll be cured of his brainwashing, Spider-Man escapes from the Mega Biocon fortress by leaping and swinging his way to freedom. One of the last things that happens in Scorpion's story is he and Spider-Man team up and track down the villainous scientist that started it all. I love Scorpion just mincing away here. But upon cornering Hillary Clinton, she tells him that there was never a cure. He'll always be a monster. And so he lets out the blood-curdling scream of a killer. Oh, fuck. That's me hearing Uncle Aaron's beats. The arc truly climaxes with a tight boss fight that involves Spidey getting to double team Rhino with Scorpion as a helpful NPC. Matt Gargles distracts Rhino with his lengthy appendage while you reach around and shoot ropes on his backside, the only place where he can take damage, of course, and together you really give it to him, let me tell ya. but he knows how to give it back. Rhino's getting heated halfway through and says,
I'll ram this horn so far up you won't be able to sit down for a month.
and then you got Scorpion. He's over here like,
Back me up, Spider-Man.
things are getting hairy, things are getting hot, and Scorpion's taking a pounding in the front just so Peter can hit it from the back.
Get him off me! He's creaming me!
Why is my dick so hard right now? Speaking of dicks, and I'm sorry, I don't have a better segue for this, but what's going on here? I'm sorry, I know it's not like a classy observation, but I couldn't help but notice Spider-Man's massive package that dogtails off to the right. It's weird, usually the dick and balls go underdefined in Spider-Man models, when in reality, he'd be moose knuckling. But here, like, whoa. How about those cheeks though? What do we got there? Ooh, pretty defined. Honestly, he is caked up, so I'm gonna put Toby's spider cheeks in the B tier of video game Spider-Man asses. Speaking hypothetically, if we were to rank them. Yet another villain that makes an appearance in Spider-Man 3's stacked rogues gallery is Mr. Gimme Your Jacket himself, Wilson Ham Hands Fisk, who's fitted out with a handsome suit and floral boutonniere that shows just how fine the artistic line is between rendering a rose and a prolapse. Kingpin himself doesn't have much to offer the narrative, aside from a scene where he's murdered by getting backflipped out a 30-story window before never being mentioned again.
No sign of him. Could he have survived that fall? Well, I'm done here either way.
But Kingpin's hench people are a different story. Spider-Man 3's biggest bespoke contribution to Marvel lore is the collection of gangs that report to Fisk, all of which were invented for this game. The first of the three are the Arsenic Candy Girls, literally referenced in the game's files as the Lolita Gang, cringe. And then there's the Apocalypse, and last but not least, you have the
Dragon Tales.
There's also Dirty Cops added to the mix as a fourth faction. You team up with a straight-laced cop named DeWolf and do a series of missions where you covertly sneak up on... After spending a few missions photographing criminal activity to build up DeWolf's case, she ends up getting captured by the same dirty cops you've been hunting, and the game proceeds to prompt you to take pictures of their dockyard meeting from a distance while also spawning you in right next to them. Words cannot describe how dead that man is. Peter snaps the evidence and creams the cops, as Scorpion might say, but not before they make a last-ditch attempt to stop DeWolf from crying wolf ever again. Spider-Man leaps in to save the day, and... he's supposed to... Okay. Now, as you've just seen, the Gang Arc's biggest contribution to the game is random explosions. For example, there are miscellaneous crimes around the city that occur just like they do in Spider-Man 2, even down to catching runaway vehicles, although Spider-Man 3's take on the concept is a little less exciting than Insomniac's. I've never seen a game with brain damage. One of the random events you can happen upon are gang members spying on a penthouse with a telescope, which you can look through after defeating them. Alright, you know crime is happening because later on the Arsenic Candy Girls invade the Museum of Natural History, and you can tell crime is happening because my favorite example of this phenomenon occurs during a perfectly peaceful discussion with a random Chinese man.
Why? What's going on?
Well, you see...
This happens during the Dragon Tales arc, who are a gang of ninjas, mysterious and stealthy. So of course they use the ninja's favorite weapon, rocket launchers. Sadly, even with their arsenal of ninja abilities such as shooting people with rockets and jacking cars in broad daylight, the Dragon Tales can't seem to figure out how to line up their priceless ancient statues.
Spider-Man?
This scene, just like the extended shot of all the statues falling with nobody interrupting and then just cutting to the ninjas as they do nothing and the sounds continue. This is perfect comedy. Next in Spider-Man 3's lineup of villainous vandals is Luke Carlisle, aka the Mad Bomber, and to be frank, I've already forgotten everything about his bland-ass plotline save for one memorable sequence where the game completely shit itself while he invaded the Daily Bugle to kidnap gesticulating J. Jonah Jameson, probably for writing news articles or something like that.
How'd you get my direct line?
This town ruined me, and now it's payback time. I've planted bombs underground, and in a few minutes, Manhattan will burn.
Just what I need today, another whack job. So kid, like I was... Parker!
Side note, J. Jonah Jameson is a treat in this game.
Get me giant lizards or you're fired.
Should have known that was too easy. Guess I'll start looking in Gramercy Park.
Cut. Cut. God, it's like that fucking scene out of Samurai Cop. Jameson's, let's say, broad physical acting and god-awful facial animation paired with the rudimentary motion capture creates some all-timer Jonah moments in the worst way possible.
Giant lizards!
I have never seen a human that looks like this. Or this, for that matter. Peter's face constantly contorts like a Robert Zemeckis night terror, which admittedly does pair well with the fentanyl-laced voice acting.
I was thinking please, but whatever.
I will never get over that line delivery. Whatever. All the Bully Maguire stuff in this game is pretty great. You got Peter turning into a sex predator.
Hey, Betty. Looking good.
Thanks, Pete.
No, seriously, I would definitely.
I think Mr. Jameson had a job for you. Why don't you go in and see him?
You're lost, babe.
And you also get a reinterpretation of the scene where Peter destroys Eddie's camera.
See ya, chump.
What the hell? In the game, well, first off, Eddie is instead framing our hero with pictures of a comically obese man dressed as Spider-Man, and instead of Peter breaking Eddie's camera, he just fucking lays him out. I'd pray to Jesus to kill that motherfucker too if he did that shit, if I'm being real. Anyway, Mad Bomber. About halfway through Carlisle's story, he attacks the Bugle, and I don't know how common this bug is, but the normal non-terrorist occupied instance of the level did not unload, so on top of the visual glitch equivalent of panic attacks, all the employees are still doing their jobs while the building's on fire. Bombs getting planted on their desks, missiles flying by their heads. It serves as a perfect visual metaphor for exactly how this game was made, I'm sure. Hell, as a game dev myself, I've been in this exact position. What the fuck is Betty doing? Is she doing the worm? Just stay calm, people. Keep typing. The Bugle's 90th reprint of the cow article is not gonna write itself. In the middle of all this chaos, our hero leaps up and over the bomb. You're such a fuck up, Spider-Man. The only other thing I can think to say involving the Mad Bomber is that at one point in his string of missions, you're tasked with getting into the subway through Penn Station, but it's empty. You can see the famous Natural History Museum, but it's empty. You can explore this place that I only know exists because I killed a bunch of people here in Prototype, and maybe Alex Mercer visited this New York as well, because it is empty, utterly bereft of life. And then there's the other famous New York landmarks, such as Gray Building, Gray Building, Gray Building, Gray Building. Spider-Man 3 portrays New York as like a liminal, brutalist hellscape. It makes New York look like the most miserable fucking place on earth to live, which it might be, but in reality, that's because the subways are leaking dookie water and rats nab your pizza, not because NYC lacks life, or soul, or has vehicles being driven by thousands of copies of the exact same burn victim with different shirt colors. But yeah, that's about all there is to say about the Mad Bomber arc. It goes on for 5 missions and nothing of note occurs. It is the weakest link in the rustiest chain of video game missions imaginable. Finally, about 8 hours into this 9-hour video game, we arrive at the actual fucking villains from the film this game is based upon. Sandman and Venom. We cut to Flint Marko just in a park. Hello, wanted criminal with sand for hands, and Eddie Brock strolls up out of nowhere, which admittedly makes more sense than Venom tracking Sandman down to one of New York's 10,000 random alleys, and then Eddie gives Marko an offer he can't refuse.
Yeah, wise guy. What side?
You're gonna help me kill him.
Which he refuses.
So you can count me out, freak.
We then get our first look at Venom, and oh no, he's hot! Why is he so thick? Oh my, whose idea was it to give Venom lickable thighs and grabbable hips? It's like out of a Megan Thee Stallion video, shit! And so our finale is set, as Venom and Sandman taunt Spidey on live TV, luring him in with the hopes of rescuing his SCP girlfriend. Let the final fight begin! Oh well, it'll, just give him a second, he'll get here, He's having some trouble. And the final fight begins! One which mostly consists of Spider-Man getting jerked around like a fucking sack of potatoes. But wait, there's more! After Venom's first phase, it cuts to a wax mannequin of James Franco with Lego hair, and suddenly you're in control of the new Goblin on its flying skateboard, shredding the streets like he shredded the sheets with those 17-year-old on a James Franco's acting school. Oh, those poor women. I can't use any of that. As you look at this gameplay, common sense might bring to mind that it's a terrible idea to introduce an entirely new character with a bespoke moveset in the middle of the final boss fight. But there is no but. It is terrible. Imagine the amazing Venom level from Spider-Man 2, except if it was designed by someone who wanted to get you to turn off the game as quickly as possible. All you do is give yourself vertigo by flying in a circle for 5 minutes before experiencing a QTE that requires frame-perfect timing, where you have to start this whole fucking fight over again, which I did, and I wanted to die. After a total of 4 separate boss phases, Spider-Man heaves a steel girder at Venom and dodges out of the way. God, what a fuck up! Spidey tackles Venom off the roof in a move that is surely a transition into a 5th and final phase where Pete uses the pumpkin bomb to blow up the— oh my god! Breaking news! Spider-Man has fucking killed Venom. Yeah, Spider-Man 2 doesn't have shit on this. Lowenthal's over here like, I love you, while Maguire's pulling fucking stage fatalities on his villains. Fuck you, Venom, you thick-ass oh my god, the obtrusive bulge. Oh, why is it wiggling so much? I'm surprised this fight wasn't just Spider-Man and Venom mashing their weird-ass dicks together. We don't get any rendition or even mention of the death of Harry Osborn. The last time we see him, he's getting clotheslined before never being mentioned again. A running theme. And that's a tragedy, as it means we'll never get to see these animators try their hand at this face. At least we get the traditional final swing to round things out. And with that, we reach the end of Spider-Man 3. With all of the interesting stuff out of the way, let's talk about the gameplay. Both combat and navigation in this game feel fundamentally fucked due to the sickening camera that feels handcrafted by the programmer to kill his epileptic son that he hates. God forbid you walk into an interior space or wall crawl ever. Take your fucking medication in advance, people. The combat is borderline experimental in a way, because as Spider-Man fights villains in the game, you are also fighting Spider-Man by trying to get him to do what you fucking want. Especially in the late game, this mostly results in having to frantically button mash to get anything done. That's your only option as you watch your special move meter charge so you can unleash Spider-Man's iconic move. Fun fact, when you're in the symbiote suit, all the names of the special moves change, and this one goes from Tornado Fist to Rafflecopter, which, far from its intent of making me laugh, actively makes me mad. However, the move is useful, far more useful than Dark Pinball, where Spidey transmutes into a man torpedo to bounce between enemies, and also random shit like metal detectors or newsstands that are 17 blocks away. Man, he is done with those fucking Bugle articles. The web swinging isn't as bad as you might have been led to believe. It's perfectly serviceable, but the problem is where it ended up going. I believe this game's web swinging, this game in particular's take on shooting ropes, is the reason we've had more automated swinging as opposed to more physics-based slinging for the last 15 or so years. Spider-Man 3 was the first game that took control away from the player while web swinging to the degree that it does. Its predecessor, Spider-Man 2, the original Spider-Man 2, was extremely tactile and physical in the way it portrayed Spidey's iconic traversal. It gave the player tons of agency, and its immediate successor, Ultimate Spider-Man, carried that same tune for the most part. Spider-Man 3 is the first time web swinging felt automated in order to seemingly ease the heavy burden of playing a video game, and whether you like it or not, it is the progenitor of where web swinging is right now in the Insomniac games. I'm not saying Insomniac's web swinging is bad. In fact, it's much better in SM2 than it was in the previous franchise entries. I'm just saying that this is where Insomniac's take started. This wonky bullshit. And I feel a little weird about it. It's like finding out you're like loosely related to Jeffrey Dahmer or something. One of Spider-Man 3's biggest shortcomings is the lack of alternate suits, a feature of every Spidey game since time immemorial. That was disappointing to see, especially after Spider-Man 2's recent release, which allowed me to play as, Urine Man, the bright white delight, symbiote suit with cock veins, whatever the fuck this is.
What the fuck are you wearing?
It's time for a Miles Morales original, you know? One of one.
That shit's ass, bro.
Yeah, I gotta be real. The selection of suits in Spider-Man 2 just wasn't it, and ended up being Insomniac's weakest collection of suits to my eyes. You either get something aggressively over-designed with 1,000 unnecessary lines and segments, or you get something we've already seen, or you get movie suit. I stand by what I said fucking 5 years ago or something in my supplementary Spider-Man 1 video. Insomniac just needs to go all the way with their emphasis on suit diversity and build out a full suit customization system. Unlockable masks, eyes, bodies, bodies, patterns, textures, etc. would make for the ultimate open world collectibles for this series. They'd be the best imaginable incentive to have me doing every side quest in the game in order to fill out my closet of custom Spidey pieces so I can make my own personalized superhero suit. It would be sick. I feel like the palettes are sort of a step in that direction, so I'm holding out hope that Insomniac will take their love of outfits to its logical conclusion and give us full suit customization in the franchise's third full entry. And that is all I have to say about Spider-Man 2, or 3. Honestly, I didn't need to spend this much time on it. Spider-Man 3 can and should be described with only 3 simple words.
This is bad.